Okay, I think I'm live now, and yeah, I am live. I can see myself on YouTube here. Okay, so I see that we have a couple people have joined us so far. There's 4 people. I'll officially get started in just a bit. Still testing out the kinks here. This is a little bit of a new setup for me. And just keep in mind that there is a delay. So I think it's like 10 seconds. So I am 10 seconds behind you. Let me just notify everyone that the live chat has started. Let me make a post on Edmodo here, just to make sure that everyone is aware. Let me post one more reminder. Okay, so something to keep in mind. This whole live review, it depends on you guys. The questions you ask, the things you say, that kind of gets it going. Just for reminder's sake, let me go ahead and pull out my little review notes here, just so I kind of know what I'm going to be reading. Hey Rocco, how's it going? Where are my little notes here? This is also a new computer, so I'm still trying to figure this thing out as well. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm good to go. Let those questions rise. The exam is going to be over period 1, period, and then involves key concept 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. So we'll be talking about those things. Early civilizations, the River Valley civilizations. You'll have to be able to look at some primary sources. We're good to go. So let the questions begin. Well, I guess in general, while you guys are coming up with some questions, I can also just remind you that the test is going to consist of 25 multiple choice questions. You'll have 25 minutes to answer them. And the reason why I'm doing that is because that's exactly the way the AP exam is structured. You have 55 questions in 55 minutes. And so I feel like I'm doing you guys a disservice if I choose to give you more time for the multiple choice questions. Each multiple choice question is going to be stimulus based. What that means is there's going to be a picture or a graph or something that deals with the questions, okay? You will not just have a question thrown out there by itself. That does involve some reading, that does involve some foresight, some foreknowledge. Okay, I'm gonna refresh the chat to make sure that I am seeing questions, because I know this happened last time. Okay, no, there's no questions there. Not a problem. Not a problem. Like I've said before, though, the key to all this is questions. If I get no questions, then this is going to be a very, very short night. But I guess I can start with 1.1, which is the peopling of the earth, and just kind of go from there. Overall, there's only about 1% of the total AP exam, or sorry, about 5% of the AP exam comes from period 1. That's not a lot. That's practically nothing. So in the greater scope of things, don't take this exam as if you do bad, it's the end of the world. Don't take it like that at all. Instead, who's messaging me right now? Instead, take it as testing your ability to answer the questions within the allotted time. See, a lot of students, they don't read fast enough. Okay, a lot of students, they don't get to the multiple choice questions in time. And so they tend to mess up and they tend to run out of time. That's going to happen with you. So oh, here we go. No, I'm not going to tell you that name. So in general, always make sure that you're working fast enough. If you don't want to spend too much time on a question, more than a minute is too much. So yeah, like I said, if no one's going to ask questions, then this is going to be a very, very, very short night, which works for me because I have movies that I want to watch. So you'd be doing me a service, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you guys. I am here for all of you. Anyway, the basics about period one is, look, humans have been on this planet for, estimate-wise, over 200,000 years, give or take. But for most of that history, we haven't been settled into societies. Most of that history, we have been nomads or hunter-gatherers or foragers, whatever you want to term that you want to use. Oh, here we go. Finally, I'm getting some questions. Okay, it's going to be over what, sir? Well, again, it's going to be over period one, which is the agricultural revolution, peopling of the earth. It's going to be over settling into societies, and it'll be over the 4 early river valley civilizations, among other things. But those are the main points. The test, it's going to be all period. Okay, 25 multiple choice questions in 25 minutes. The remaining 20 minutes you're going to use to answer 1 short answer question, and you're going to analyze 2 primary sources. I'm going to need 2 SOAPs analysis, a POV statement and a summary of the 2 SOAPs, the 2 primary sources. Okay, well, we can do that. We can go over the main points. So like I said, generally you have to understand why people went from hunter-gatherers to agriculture. Okay, so understand, yeah, they're all going to be AP questions. They're all written in that caliber, Rocco. So they're not from the AP exam. We don't have access to those. I did take the sample questions, though, and I kind of reworded them a little bit. Some of these questions do come from a database of questions that myself and other AP teachers have created for us to use. That's actually why I don't give the test back. I mean, you're free to look at it, but I don't give it back because these questions are actually not that easy to come by. Some of the questions are going to be questions that I paid for from services that I've bought into, online services. So you're getting top-notch quality questions, that's for sure. I can guarantee that. All right, so understand why people went and made the decision to farm, basically, to go from living a nomadic lifestyle to farming. And we don't know the exact answer for that, okay? So you just have to be aware of the multiple theories out there. In general, more food, okay? It allows people to settle down. There is also that alcohol theory that supposedly people wanted more beer. The idea also could be that the Ice Age caused a lack of natural food supplies, that animals died out, that food was very hard to come by, and so it necessitated people having to make more food. So definitely understand that. Understand what the Neolithic Revolution was. It's farming, it's agriculture. Understand too that when it happened around 8000 BC, when people made the move to farm, it took several thousand years for them to actually create complex civilizations. We had early cities like Katal Hayuk in Turkey, like Jericho. Okay, we had cities that were semi-civilized, but they weren't completely complex civilizations yet. They never got to the point where the Egyptians or the Sumerians got to. So just be aware of, again, people, why they made the decision, and then be able to compare how life was before and how life was after farming, once humans started to farm. So just be aware of that kind of stuff. As for the River Valley civilizations, okay, you have 4 main ones. There are some tertiary ones. You have the Indus River Valley. You have the Sumerians, or Mesopotamia, it's the name of the region. You have the Egyptians along the Nile River Valley. And you have the Xia, the Shang, and the Zhou dynasties of China, or just Shang is the most one. Okay, there are other core civilizations around there, okay, especially in the Americas. You have the Chavan in the Andes and the Olmecs in Mesoamerica. But sounds really bad to say this, but we don't worry about those too much. I'm sorry. I know it's really bad to judge, to say one civilization is not as important as the other, but that's just the reality. Also, be aware of some of the other civilizations like the Hebrews, okay, and what importance they brought, which was obviously the Torah, and it was obviously their monotheistic religion. Be aware of the Hittites. Oh, there's a delay, I forgot. Yeah, I'm getting to those. This delay is killing me. It's killing me. Okay, I think it's finally come. There you go. Finally, finally. There's a delay here. Cool. It's also a good way to see who's in here. So know about the Hittites, oh, I said it again. The Jews are the Hebrews, okay, and those tertiary civilizations. All right, so the Axial Age, yeah, the Axial Age was the transition period from period 1 to period 2. It took place roughly from about 1000 BCE to about, again, give or take, about 300 BCE. So it's like, it's a transition period, and historians have created the Axial Age. People living at the time didn't say, oh, hey, we're now living in the Axial Age. They didn't say that. We have gone back as historians and kind of classified that time period as a time when a lot of changes occurred, when some civilizations ended, they kind of went away, and some became reborn, some changed, okay? In China, that's when all of the Chinese philosophies were created, like Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism. In India, this is when the Vedic age began. This is when Hinduism was slowly being created. And in Greece, this is when they started to develop their ideas of governing and of life. So that's what really the Axial Age is about. We're not going to test too heavily on that. There might be a question or two, but it's not something that you're expected to know because that kind of transitions into period 2. Focus here is more period 1 in the early civilizations. Now, going back to what Kenya had asked about going over the main portions of the exam, understand the positives and negatives of agriculture, of adopting agriculture, okay? A lot of positives is you got the more food, okay? You have settled societies, okay? You have technologies. I mean, everything around us is because of agriculture. I am streaming to you now here on the computer because of agriculture. We have easy access to food and to water. This is agriculture. We have specialized jobs. I have the best job in the world, I think, being your instructor because of agriculture, because I don't have to be tilling the land since we have a surplus of food that I can go buy at the grocery store. So agriculture has given us so much, but if you remember the Jared Diamond article, it's given us a lot of negatives as well. Okay, so that might be a short answer question. I might very well ask you to give me a positive and negative of agriculture. So you might be asked to talk about that, or at least in a multiple choice question. So negatives, okay? Well, slavery. Obviously, if you're going to be tilling the land, you're going to need someone to do it for you, and sometimes people don't want to do it for free, or people are going to want you to do it for free and not pay you for it. Gender inequality, okay? We have every reason to believe that during the hunter-gatherer age, men and women were generally equal. I'm not saying they were exactly equal, but they generally were equal. And, well, that's something that changed now that males became dominant, okay? Social classes were created. Now that we have created ownership, okay, if you own something and you don't, then, well, you don't have the money anymore. So we have social classes, wealth, basic war. Okay, people now have, some people don't. So we have the issues of fighting for dominance. So it's a lot of mistakes. Do I think it was the worst mistake in the world? Hey, look, I've said it before. I'm not here to give you my opinion. You come up with your own opinion. So I may ask you that question on the exam if you think it was the worst mistake in the world. If you think it is, be ready to defend that position. And if you think it wasn't the worst mistake in the history of mankind, then you defend that as well. And I've already given you enough to answer that question. I think I've shown you the positives and I've shown you the negatives of agriculture. Now, agriculture eventually does lead to complex cities. So you have to understand the criteria for a complex civilization. What makes a complex civilization and what doesn't. And be ready to discuss that as well. So you got to have a advanced city. You got to have big cities, okay, with big populations. You got to have complex systems, government, military, education, okay. Got to have a system of record keeping, writing, something to keep track of it, okay. Got to have that advanced technology. You got to be able to innovate, to create. And you also have to have monuments. You got to have something big. You got to be able to see your creation. You got to be able to do it. And that's the main categories, the main criteria. There's a few other things you could maybe throw in there. One of the articles that we read was called The Nature of Civilization, where we came to the conclusion that civilization is really whatever you are and what the other people aren't. They're uncivilized. we've come to understand that the term civilization is very arbitrary, and there is no exact definition. We give it a definition. You know, I've told you how in the past it's taken on racial connotations, especially when Europeans began colonizing the New World. Okay, so civilization is whatever you want it to be. You know, we have our historical definition, but it's changed over the years. Okay, any other questions? And you can ask about, it doesn't just have to be about the content, it could be about the test itself, the class, really anything. I'm going to refresh to see if I'm not getting questions, because that does happen sometimes. No new questions. Okay. Like I said, guys, I need questions. How do we answer the questions with pictures? Okay, that's actually a good one. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull a sample question right now from the AP website, and I'm going to show it to you, and you're going to see right now what I mean with the picture question. It's going to involve you using outside knowledge. In other words, they're not going to give you a picture of something that you know nothing about. It'll be a picture of something that is meaningful. So let me toss a question at you guys, and let's see if anyone can get it correctly. Well, let me find a good one here, though. Okay, well, we haven't covered this yet, though. No questions about the Persian Empire. That'll be the next exam. So you'll be good with that. But let me pull out a question here now that I have you guys. An example of a question that might show up. I'm not guaranteeing that this one will show up, but let me get a period 1 question, just so you guys have an idea of a picture one. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let me just clear out the correct answer here. All right, I'm going to briefly switch my screen. And okay, I see the questions now. They're popping up. I'll get to those questions in just a bit. Let me switch my screen here really quick so I can show you what I mean by a stimulus-based question. Hold on. Let me get fancy here with my screen share. Where the heck is it? No. I have to. Hold on, guys. Technology is great, but it could also be messy. Hold on. Okay, I think I got it here. Okay, let's try the screen share feature here. Okay, I believe you are viewing my screen. Yes. Okay, so you see here, Mohenjo-Daro, one of the 2 major cities of the ancient Indus River Valley civilization. And here's the question. One way in which the Indus River Valley civilization was similar to the Roman Empire was that and again, the picture doesn't really answer the question. It's basically a stimulus. It's used to kind of help you answer the question, but it's not necessary. Okay, and this is actually a bad question. I just realized I picked out a really bad one, but see it there. So try to guess. See which one you think it is. And again, all questions will be about period 1, or at least something that we've covered in class. I'm not going to give you questions over things we haven't covered. But if you remember Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, which is part of the Indus River Valley civilization, you should be able to get this one. Okay, and this delay is really bad. I don't like it. Yes, congratulations, Estrella. It is, in fact, answer D. So you see, that's what I mean. So it's not really like you're going to be quizzed on the art itself. You're not like, it doesn't matter if you don't know about this. It just kind of helps. The questions go along with that. Let me give you one more here. Now, I'm probably not going to use this one because I already used it here. Let me quickly switch over here really quick. All right, let's do another question here really quick. I had to take it out here because I don't want you to see some of these questions because I'm going to use some of them. We'll look for another stimulus-based question here. And I'm sorry I can't see the questions right now, but I will get back to them. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's a good one. Here's a really good one. All right, I'm going to go back to screen share here so you can see another question. And we'll get to that one. All right, here we go. Which statement below is supported by the illustration above? Neolithic revolution brought about the division of labor. Neolithic revolution created more egalitarian societies. With the reliance on agriculture, domestication was no longer practiced, and stone tools continued to be the main tool in agriculture. So which one do you think that one is? A, B, C, or D? It's actually A. Actually A. So again, hopefully this has kind of calmed down some of your fears. Hopefully you see now that it's really the stuff you know, it's just the pictures are supposed to go along with it. So if you've never seen these illustrations before, you should be fine if the knowledge is intact. All right, let's go back and look at some of these questions that were presented earlier. So do we just use what we read? Yeah, it's the first 3 chapters basically that you guys read, the first 3 quizzes, period 1, the River Valley Civilizations. Not a very complex test. It's really, this is designed to kind of get your feet wet, get a feel for what's going on. How did the rise of the Persian Empire? So again, Persian Empire, not on this test. That'll be the next one. Soaps about the first time period. It'll be related to that. It'll be related. Okay, I'll give you a hint. One of the soaps is going to be about the axial age. It'll be about one of those philosophies. So you're probably going to get either a picture or a quote from Confucius or Lao Tzu or something to that effect. I will give you a heads up in that regard. Okay. All right, so that was good. Again, you guys got to see a little bit of what I mean by a stimulus-based question. And I didn't want to show you the official one I have on the College Board because that's further down the line. I don't have any picture questions from the College Board from period 1, at least on the sample test. Let's see. I'm looking at the key concepts here really quick to kind of see if I missed anything for 1.1. But I think I pretty much got all of 1.1. I think we're good with 1.1. You don't need to know the details of the River Valley civilizations. Okay, that's super, super important. It's very easy to get bogged down in this kind of stuff. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I'm going to go back to screen share really quick. Okay, just to reiterate, this is what we're quizzing on right here, just from basically 8,000 BCE to about 600 BCE, and it's just that stuff. Again, not a major weight on the real AP exam, so don't freak out if this is something that you don't do well in. It's not designed to test how much knowledge you learned so far in the entire class. It's really just designed to get your feet a little wet. Okay, let's go down to the key concepts here really quick. By the way, I'm going to give you a copy of all of these key concepts. You're going to get this little booklet right here. You're going to get these key concepts and you're going to scratch them off as you're done with them. I just haven't had the time because I need some paper. So please, if any of my administrators are watching us or any parents, please donate some paper. We need some, please. It's expensive. Sorry for the cheap plug. Anyway, the key concept outline is great because, again, it has the key concepts here, the big ones, and then it has them further subdivided, 1A, 1B. Here's 1.2, more complex civilizations. And The stuff here on the right, which we don't see any here. Let me look for some on the, oh, here we go. Here we have illustrative examples. These are things you can know, but you don't have to. You really just have to know the stuff in the middle and on the left side here. You can see this is 1.22, and it kind of goes on from there. So really, the key concept is, well, the key to learning the AP exam. I mean, if you can get the stuff that's on here, it's great. Now, I did post this on Edmodo back at the very beginning of the school year. If you want me to repost the key concepts, I can certainly do that. As I said, I am planning to get you a hard copy of all the key concepts, and you can use them as a little booklet to check off as you know them. Yeah, oh yeah, the rivers are very important. So that's a good question. And there they are right there. Let me focus on this. So yes, knowing Mesopotamia and the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers, well, here they are. You can see them right here. Definitely, at least these four right here, be aware of the rivers and the civilization that goes with it. Absolutely. Excellent question as always. Yeah, that is part of period 1. You can see there's part of 1.3. And again, this happened about 5,000 years ago, so that goes to about 3000 BCE. All right, let's do enough of the screen share here. Okay, again, great questions so far. I know a lot of you guys are getting used to this and you're getting the hang of this. So any other questions? How's the audio, by the way? Yeah, we can go over the river valley civilizations. Essentially, you want to go over just the most important thing. So let's take it section by section. Let's go river valley civilization by river valley civilization. Let's go ahead and start with the earliest known one, the Sumerians in Mesopotamia. So you have to be aware of how they organize their social structures. Okay, socially, they did have a king on top. That stupid comments. Okay, they did have a king on top. He was not seen as a god. He was seen as a king. However, the priests were always close by. The priests were always high up in that society. So they did have a king, they did have a priest, but the ruler was definitely not seen as a priest. Other civilizations will view their ruler as a godlike figure. They were not here. They were also constantly in flux. Within that time period, several different civilizations. It wasn't just the Sumerians. We had the Sumerians, the Akkadians, the Chaldeans, the Babylonians. A lot of different groups came into that area and conquered Mesopotamia. Yeah, I'll get to the ancient ones in a bit. So, okay, so social structure. Also be aware of their system of writing, okay, which was cuneiform. And I mentioned that it's a bunch of wedge-shaped writing. You have the cuneiform. We have also be aware of their economics. You know, what are the things that they kind of came up with? Well, they were mostly traders. They traded in wheat. They traded in products. They were in between the Indus Valley and Egypt, and so they served as a go-between. Understand the ziggurats. That was their religious center. That's where they practiced and preached. Don't know a lot of details about the Sumerians and about further Mesopotamian societies because a lot of them were conquered over time. We know a lot, but many things we still are not aware of, especially the nature of the original ziggurats. You remember I showed you the picture of the ziggurat of Ur? That ziggurat has been rebuilt over the ages, though, so it's not an accurate representation of what it was back then. So that's Mesopotamia. Let's see, they invented the wheel. They had a calendar. Those are the basics. Again, you don't want to get too bogged down in all the details of the Mesopotamians. It's easy to just completely lose yourself in those examples. Let's move over now to Egypt. Now, Egypt is like the complete opposite of Mesopotamia. Egypt, on the other hand, they view their ruler as a godlike king. They view their ruler as a god. Okay, this is not a human. This is a god in human flesh. And so they combine their religion and their government together. We know that Egypt had the Nile River. The Nile River, it flooded predictably at the same time each year. Generally, it would flood I think it was around summer is when it would flood, and it would leave a very rich deposit of silt, and so they were able to grow things on there very predictably. It was a calmer river. It was still dangerous when it flooded, but it was a lot more calm than like the Tigris and the Euphrates River. So we know that Egypt had a social structure. We know they had hieroglyphics as their main system of writing. We know it was for religious purposes. We know about the pyramids. That's where they buried their dead. Okay, that's the important monument from the Egyptians that comes out. And no, laws of Manu, not really. I mean, we're really getting away from the axial age. It's more of what happened before that. So law of Manu, no, I'm not throwing that on there. No. Okay, understand that there was trade going on between Mesopotamia and Egypt and Nubia, which is further to the south, Mesopotamia in the Indus Valley, and that kind of stuff. Let's see. Okay, so we have talked about Mesopotamia, which was several civilizations. We just use the word Mesopotamia because that's what it stands for, that region, but there was no civilization called the Mesopotamians. That didn't happen. We talked about the Egyptians. Now it's the Indus River Valley, which is actually my favorite. I know it's also John Green's favorite, but no, well, to hell with John Green, right? He just is much more successful than me and has a lot more money, but whatever. Now look, Indus River Valley civilization, 2 major cities, Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro. And what makes those cities so fascinating is the plumbing. It's the sewage. They had drainage. They had sewage and drainage in these cities that we don't even have in medieval European cities. They were so much more advanced. They're very sanitary. Okay, in Mohenjo-Daro and in Harappa, we know that they had some sort of religion, but because we've never deciphered their system of writing, we don't understand too much about the civilization. We know they traded. We know they were very good at city planning and city organization. Okay, their cities were very well built and they were well organized. The cities still exist today. They've had to dig them out. Okay, they're ruins, but they still exist, and we can see how carefully they've been city planned. In other words, their city planners knew what they were doing. Not like Brownsville, right? Sorry, I should not be criticizing our city, but you know, the shoe fits. I don't know, wear it. Well, what happened with Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa? We just know that they eventually were abandoned. Most likely it was ecologically related. Most likely the rivers were just flooding too chaotically. Most likely they were just kind of shifting, and well, eventually people decided to get out of there. Okay, later on, the Aryans came, then came the Vedic age, then came the Logbook of Manu and all that stuff. So the people that are in India now are not the Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro people. Okay, those people eventually integrated into the caste system or into the Aryan system. All right, and the last one is China, Shang China. Again, very basic social structure like most. You have your king or ruler at the top, then you have your priest class, then you have your warriors, and then below that you have all your merchants, your farmers, your artisans, that kind of stuff. Peasants and slaves are always below that. What makes China a little bit unique was that it was generally isolated from every other of these river valley civilizations. You have the Himalaya Mountains, you have the Gobi Desert, so they're not going to be part of this cycle yet. Not yet. They will be integrated into the trade system with the Silk Roads, but that's not till period 2, which is what we're actually talking about right now. As for the writing system, they have their pictographs or pictogram writing, which symbol writing, picture writing. The type of writing they had during this dynasty, which is going to be the Shang dynasty, it's not the system of writing that China has today, but it's very similar. It's the early version of that. It's the beta version of their eventual system of writing. Okay, oracle bones are important. Understand that oracle bones were ways for people to ask questions to their ancestors or to their spirits and supposedly get responses from that. Yes. Okay. Good question. Mandate of heaven. All right. So China is unique in the sense that their belief that the rulers, while they don't think the rulers are gods, they do think the rulers are blessed by the gods. And so we have the mandate of heaven system where If a ruler behaves good, if a ruler is just, if a ruler is moral, then they will continue to have the mandate of heaven, and they will be blessed with plentiful harvests, great weather, no natural disasters, no invasions. But if they have lost the mandate of heaven, if they have misbehaved, if they have been immoral, unethical, it is believed then that they have lost the mandate of heaven, and that's when we get invasions, ecological disasters, earthquakes. Okay. Of course, in our modern times, we know better than that. We know that some of those things are through nature, and science has helped us explain these things. But to the people living in that time, it was thought the gods were displeased with the rulers, so it's okay to overthrow them, and whoever wins, whoever succeeds, they are now the new emperor. They have now been blessed, and they have the mandate of heaven. And so, yes, definitely at least be aware of the mandate of heaven. And that's one of the things that makes China unique. Also, bronze was something that was unique in Chinese Shang society. The government controlled it. Like, if you had bronze, it's because the government lets you have it. It was basically illegal to own bronze without the government giving you the consent. So, great question about China. All right, that's a very basic overview of the four complex civilizations. Look, you don't need to know details. I'm not going to ask which of the following civilizations had hieroglyphs. Like, that's too basic, and that requires too specific of knowledge. I can give you one more sample question. This is actually going to be from the College Board, so probably not going to show up on your exam tomorrow, but just to give you an idea of the type of level of questions. So let me look for one. And again, these are all stimulus-based. Okay, well, this is a good question, and I'm going to waste it, but it's okay. It's a good place to use it. So let me quickly go over to screen share here, and please try to answer it. I encourage you to definitely try to answer this question, see what you can get on there. And here we go. No. It's sharing my screen. That's not what I want. Hold on. Okay. Let's try this again. Okay, I think I got it here. Yeah, all right. The ruler is a boat. People are the water. The water can carry the boat. The water can capsize the boat. A man may be the descendant of kings, lords, or nobles, but if he does not observe the norms of ritual and proper behavior, he must be relegated to the status of a commoner. Similarly, he may be a descendant of commoners, but if he accumulates learning of the text, corrects his behavior, and observes the norms of ritual and proper behavior, then he must be elevated to the ranks of high ministers, lords, and nobles. Chunzi, Chinese philosopher, circa 250 BCE. According to the passage, Chunzi was advocating an approach to governance that most clearly reflected the principles of what? Of what? Let's go over here. Okay, let me stop the screen share here really quick. Let me go back to the chat room. Okay, oh, I see a lot of you guessed C for Confucianism. And if you guessed C for Confucianism, that would mean you are correct. You are correct if you chose Confucianism. So again, I don't directly ask you about anything. How much is the test worth over? So, okay, the way I've structured this test is worth 100 points, 100 test points. Each question is worth 2 points, 50. The short answer question that you're going to have, okay, is going to be worth about 30 points. No, sorry. You're making me do math in my head. Hold on, I have it written down here. Hold on. Putting me on the spot. I love it. Credits to Sada and Jocelyn. Oh, okay. You can do a retake, but I'll get to the points a little bit. I saw the retake question. The way I score this test is not like a regular test where you get a 60 and that's it. A 60 is a 60. In this instance, I don't want to say the word curve because that's a bad thing, but the grades are certainly adjusted. And let me explain why. And this is a good time to explain this. I'm going to use the chat room here. Let's say that 100 is the total amount of points you can get on the AP exam. And then this is I'm not using accurate numbers here. Well, you don't need 100 to get a 5 or even a 3. A 3 is considered passing by AP standards. Generally, I think it's about 45% is what you need of the total points to get a 3. So there's a little bit of an adjustment. Let's say you get, in this exam, let's say you get 40 out of the 100 points. That's going to be about an 80, 85. So there will be some point adjustments on there. You're not expected to get a perfect score, put it that way. I never expect anyone to get a perfect score on my exam. So that's what we're going to do. And as for the printing paper. Oh, okay. Well, that's something else. I add those points to the 6 weeks average. That's something completely different. That's not with this test. And remember, this is one test. And you guys already have 2 other test grades. If you turned in your syllabus contract, that was an easy 110 if you turned it in early. Just the discussion grades were another one. I didn't give anyone anything below a 70. A 70 was the lowest I gave. So if you've done all your work so far, you really should not be failing the class at all. You really shouldn't be failing the class. But again, the test, it's a combination of the multiple choice, and it's a combination of writing that one short answer question, which is going to be worth about 20 to 25 points, and then you have the SOAPs. The SOAPs analysis are going to be about 10 points apiece. So it should come out to roughly 100. If not, like I said, I'm going to do it percentage based. In terms of grades, though, I have to adjust them a little bit because I'm not expecting any of you to get a perfect score on this AP exam. So it's unfair of me to expect you to use the same kind of grading scale that our schools are used to using. So again, if you get even half of the multiple choice questions correct, that should be good enough to get you about a 70, 75. You don't have to get them all. And I never expect that to happen. So, anything else? As soon as okay, so that's another good question. I actually have somewhere to be tomorrow directly after school. I'm going to start grading them during my conference period. I'm going to start grading them while they're at school. So I should have it by the end of the day. Shoot me a message. You know what? I will guarantee that I'll have them by the end of the evening. So definitely shoot me a message on Edmodo. You can come check after school, but I have to be somewhere fairly soon after class. So I will have them very quickly, though. I grade, and you know this because I get your quiz grades out right away. I'm going to grade these things out really, really quickly. I don't want you to worry about this. Remember, this is one test. The grades are adjusted, and I'm more concerned with your quizzes and I'm more concerned with your writing, which is what we do on a regular basis. So all the questions will have picture or parts of reading like the Confucian one. Yeah, they'll all be based off of that. Now, there might be 2 or 3 questions based off of the I may give you one picture and then there might be 2 or 3 questions based off of it. Not every question will be based off a different picture. Yes, the first American civilizations might come out. They might just get a brief mention or a brief comparison. By 9th period, yeah, I should have the grades by 9th period. At least the multiple choice, definitely. But look, I'm going to try to get this done quickly. I'm not going to drag this out. Sir, if we have 100 in your class, what's the lowest grade we can get on the test and still have a good average? I mean, I'm going to be very frank with you guys. I'm not going to give anyone lower than maybe a 60 if I get to that point. So I don't know. Let me you know what? Let me open the grade book here really quick. I obviously won't show people grades. Let me just let me hypothetically throw in a 60 on someone who has 100, and I can tell you what the result will be. While that is loading, let me look at the questions. Can we take notes? No, 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 no. This exam it's really a test to see what you have retained. And again, because I do adjust it, because there are little, I don't want you to freak out, but I certainly want to see what you guys have retained from period 1. So think of it as, how good am I so far? Don't think of it as, I'm horrible, I'm bad. Don't stress out over this. This is not going to make or break your grade. It will adjust your grade, you know? So let me quickly open up a class here. Let me see what a 60 would do. And that's the lowest, and I'm going to tell you right now, that's if you get 1 or 2 questions correct and did bad on the essays. Like the way my curves work, you should be fine. But let me fix this over here really quick. Okay, I'll tell you right now. Okay, so I see someone here, they have 100. I'm gonna put 100, I'm gonna put a 60 for this test, and I'll tell you an 89. Okay, and 89. So if you have 100 right now, at this moment, and you get a 60 on this exam, and that's a 60 is like at the bottom of the barrel. That's usually means you got just a few questions correct and you completely blew it. That's gonna be an 89. Okay, I'm not here to ruin you guys when it comes to GPA and averages. Yeah, don't drop the class if you fail the test. It's just one test. And really, it's just, again, think of this more as a benchmark to kind of see what the test is about. Look, this 6 weeks was the easy 6 weeks. I said this from the beginning. This 6 weeks, or really 5 weeks, was the training wheels portion of the class. Okay, I don't want you guys to get completely discouraged. I don't want you guys to completely drop the class. It will get harder next 6 weeks, though. I'm not going to lie. Okay, the quizzes will be worth a lot more. The daily work won't be worth as much. But if you've been able to survive this 6 weeks, you should be fine. I mean, I think most of you have the handle of it. Some of you do need to step up the responsibility. Some of you do need to perhaps study up more often. You know, I have ex-students that come into my room all the time, and they always say the same thing. It's just really about doing those quizzes. One of the students that did get a 4 last year, she told me today, you know, keep doing those quizzes for the kids, because she said that's what helped her out the most. So I would definitely listen to those that have passed the AP exam. And again, this is all a learning experience, guys. Okay, don't freak out. It's not the end of the world if you don't do as well on this quiz. The whole goal behind all of this is to get you guys ready for that exam. So everything I do in this class, it's to help you guys pass. And we've been successful. Look, the kids last year, they did great, and I know you guys can do better than that. So if I'm too hard or I'm too demanding, it's because I know exactly what that test is like. And also, I know what college is like. I know exactly what's going to happen in college, especially if you go to a bigger university. It's a lot of reading. You know, you can ask any ex-student, if you have older brothers and sisters that are in college that have been through it, they can tell you that's a lot of reading. Well, I just said that if you fail the test tomorrow with a 60, which, I mean, that's pretty much the low grade you're going to get if you try. Now, you should be fine. If you have 100 and you've bombed the test, you should be still in the 80s somewhere. Now, if your average is in the 70s or 80s right now and you bomb the test, then it's going to go down. The grade will go down, and you can take a retest, but this is the first 6 weeks. If your grade is in the 70s, it's because you did not turn stuff in. Thank you, Jillian. I like that. We are a team. Okay, and I don't think I'm unapproachable. I don't think that I isolate myself. I like to think that I make myself available for all of you. So if you legitimately are having trouble with something, hey, come to me. You can message me on Edmodo. I'm always there at lunch. There's always kids in the class studying, except on Wednesdays. You know that. I'm always there after school. I'm there till like 5 or 5:30. Please, and I encourage tons of people to come and to study. Mornings, you know, I try to get there by 8 sometimes, but I'm not really a morning person. But look, we are in this together. I'm here for you guys. Let's just make it the best, okay? And just be honest with me. I need feedback. If I get no feedback, I don't know if I'm doing well or not. That's why I give these exams. I give them to kind of measure to see what you guys have retained. But a lot of you have been doing, on these little sample questions I threw out, you guys did great. So that says to me that I don't have to worry as much. And that's always refreshing. Always refreshing. Any other content questions? Any other things about period 1 or any of the assignments? WAP pack 20K 617. 2K17 when I say 20K 2K17. By the way, I'm not approving some of your comments. Some of you are writing stuff, and if they have like an automatic filter on here and it's not, no Persian Empire, no. Look, we barely quizzed over it, so we're not going to test on it yet. That is a good question, but no. Remember, from now on, we're working on those spec sheets and those snapshots. So the period 1 is the unique one because it's just so tiny. I mean, 5%. That's the other reason why I don't go too in depth into it, because in the years past, I made mistakes. I spent weeks on, Egypt and the Greeks and the Indus River Valley civilization, and then only to find out that it's only 5%. I don't make that mistake anymore. I breeze through period 1 as fast as I can. No Alexander the Great questions. No Alexander the Great questions. None. Only period 1. And again, period 1 covers the River Valley civilizations. It covers at the Neolithic or agriculture revolution. Yeah, Zhou dynasty will definitely be on there. Okay. Just know that the Zhou dynasty, well, obviously it comes after the Shang dynasty, but also that it was all about decentralization. That they basically allowed every kingdom in China to do their own thing. No Hindu caste system. No. Now, do be aware that the Aryans did come in and they did bring their religion, okay? But the final product, the caste system, no, that's 2.1. That's the codification of religions. I'm not testing you on that. The Shang and the Zhou dynasty, the Shang and the Zhou. Oh, and of course the Qin, I forgot. The unification in China. That's on there. That's on there. But not the Han Dynasty. So about the paper thing. The paper is added to your report card grade, not to the test. I mean, I can add 5 points to the test, but I think 5 points on your report card sounds a lot better than adding just 5 points to the test. But I got to have the paper by the end of the 6 weeks. Otherwise, it'll count for next 6 weeks. So we'll do that. Okay, so some of the questions on the actual test, the multiple choice questions, might be comparative in nature. Like it might be structured that way. But to write a comparative question, did I write one for this one? Perhaps. Yeah, ACE questions, the short answer questions, you're going to have one of them on there. That might be comparative. So you have to understand, I created 4 different versions of this exam. Not that I don't trust you guys, but I don't. And so I created 4 different exams. That way, the good old, let's take a screenshot, let's take a picture of the exam and share it. It doesn't happen. Well, you can turn in paper whenever, but the grades are due by Friday. So if you don't turn in copy paper then, give me copy paper after Friday, it'll apply to next 6 weeks. Paper, again, is basically just copy paper. If you give me 500 sheets of paper, 500 reams, then you get extra credit. So that is that. Just know for the Pacific people that we had a group of individuals who migrated from Southeast Asia. They migrated over Oceania, migrated all the way to Australia eventually. That's it. You don't need to know the details. They built canoes. They traveled. They built these long canoes, got on them, and migrated away from everyone else. And that's it. Don't even know too many details. We come back to them a little bit later, that's why. Oh, actually, I do have a special treat, or not a special treat, but for the student or students that do the best in every class, I'm going to give them one of these. Or more appropriately, lent one of these. But this is not the newest one, but it's helpful. Certainly helpful. So if someone gets a 89, like you said, because of the 60 degree, it will be a 94. No. I said, like, if they have 100 right now, if they get a 60 on the exam, it'll bring it down to an 89. The American civilizations, yeah, we can talk about the Americans really quick. So we have the Chavin in the Andes, or the Chavin in the Andes. Their system of writing was basically quipu, which is the strings. The little knots kind of indicated what the numbers meant. It was mostly for record keeping, and it was mostly for numbers. They did have social systems. They did have agriculture. It wasn't really based on a river valley civilization like the other ones were. Okay, the Olmecs, remember the Olmecs? They had those giant heads. In fact, let me pull one of those up right now. Since you guys are here, I can always do the screen share thing. Go ahead and do that right now really quickly, just show you those Olmec heads. By the way, I am blatantly using Freemanpedia for this. So let me give credit where credit is due to Freemanpedia. All right, so here we go. Again, this is an awesome website. Massive credit to Benjamin Freeman. This guy is amazing. He's excellent. Freemanpedia.com. Please, Freeman-pedia.com. Check it out. So let's quickly scroll down here to the Olmec heads. Here we go. This is an example of that. And I mentioned that they all have different facial structures. They're all slightly cross-eyed. You can check this out right here. Again, Freemanpedia. Let me copy and paste this really quick and give you a link. I mean, I can't. No. Whoa. Hold on. Can't broadcast that. Let me stop screen sharing really quick here. I can't broadcast people's grades, which I had by accident. Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. Yes, Natalie, it'll bring up the paper to 94. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It will do that. Okay, I didn't get that, but now that you've explained it, yeah. Well, I can talk about ancient Egypt again, sure. Ancient Egypt is just like the other river valley civilizations. Okay, they were. Wait, hold on. I'm getting an error here. Someone from Bex is asking for the link. What link? Oh, to Freemanpedia? Well, I'm trying to paste it here in the chat room. It's not letting me. It's not letting me post it in my own chat room. What the heck? Why is it not letting me? Okay, you know what? I can change the description down here. Let me change the description really quickly, and I'll add the link to Freemanpedia. Okay. Okay, I did post the link to Freemanpedia now. You're going to have to refresh the page. Oh, for the live chat. Of course, we're still having a quiz on Friday. Every Friday. Hey, look, you can give the link to anyone you want. I don't care if they go to Porter, to Bex, or Hannah, or Veterans. I'm okay. Although Hannah and Veterans and all we have great teachers across the district. And in fact, I've learned a lot from the teachers at Veterans and at Hannah and other places. So they have excellent instructors there. But anyone can come, that's for sure. Yep, still quizzes, guys. I got to keep you all mentally tough, mentally struck. Look, the reason why I constantly have you guys doing assignments is not because I want to overwhelm you. It's because I need to keep your brains sharp. I need to keep you fresh. Okay, so just briefly about Egypt, just understand that the difference between them and other River Valley civilizations is that they viewed the Egyptian pharaoh as a god, as opposed to other ones. Know that, yeah, nice setup. It's just this right here. Know also that the Egyptians relied on the Nile River, that it was flooded predictably. Know about the pyramids, that they built them as a way to honor their dead gods, that kind of stuff. So know that they traded with the Indus Valley. They traded with the Mesopotamians, the big old Mesopotamians, that kind of stuff. What else can we add about the Egyptians here? Again, we don't want to get into too many details because it's so easy to get bogged down into the details. Okay, one thing that nobody asked about, but I'm going to reiterate, Hammurabi's law code. Just know that it didn't treat everyone fairly, that it revealed social classes, that if you were in a higher social class, you certainly weren't punished as harshly as someone from a lower social class. Okay, so you do need to know about that. As far as religions go, it's really just Judaism and a little Zoroaster was around during this time period. But it didn't really take too much root. Hinduism hadn't fully taken shape yet. It was getting there, but it wasn't quite where it needs to be. Okay, Hittites. Okay, well, you'll post that as soon as possible. Yeah, you know what? I mean, this sounds really bad. It sounds like I'm passing the buck. I'm really not. It's that if you go to Freemanpedia and you go to that link I posted on Freemanpedia on the description here, I mean, it has pretty much everything you need. Thank you for the iron thing. Yeah, Neolithic and Paleolithic. Well, technically, we are still in the Neolithic age. So. So Hammurabi, what else? Oh, you said iron out loud. That's awesome. Is Paleolithic going to be on the test? Just be aware of how life was back then and then how life changed because of agriculture. You don't need to know the details. You don't need to know about, Australopithecus, man. You don't need to know about any of that stuff. You don't need to know about the ice ages. Just know that the ice ages did lead to agriculture. But in terms of details, no. They don't ask you about that on the AP exam, so I'm not going to ask you about that on our exam. Well, thank you, Seth. This is different, that's for sure. Like I said, sometimes it's fun and it's great and we have a good time. Sometimes it's really, really dead and boring. And this is somewhere in the middle. I think it started off, I think a lot of you were shy at the beginning and we started off a little slow. I think we've kind of found a groove, though. I think we kind of found a groove. And that's fine. Look, every class is different. Every group is certainly has their own unique and positive attributes. So it's okay. I'm certainly having fun. This is definitely different. And yeah, this is not something that's done too often at our school. So I like to definitely be original and unique. That's for sure. I like that, like, I posted this link on my Facebook just to kind of show off to people. And I love how I'm getting messages from people right now. And it's like, do you not see that I'm streaming right now? Quiet ninth period. Actually, let's take an informal poll. How many of you are here from second period? Who's my second period students? If you're here, just put second on there so I can kind of know who's from second period. And if you're here from fourth period, go ahead and put fourth. And go ahead and now fifth period if you're from fifth period. And then let's do seventh period. And then finally, is that it? I think we're done, right? We got second, fourth, fifth, and seventh. I think we got all of them. Oh, who could forget ninth period and the 10 kids that are there? Cool. Good to see a nice, healthy representation from different classes. I always like that. Oh, cool. You met my brother. Huh. Hey, someone's from ninth. That's cool. Ninth is awesome. I like ninth period. I do. They're my favorite. No class is my favorite. I see you spelled Allah incorrect. Okay, look, I think we've talked a lot already. If you guys don't have any more questions, I guess we can go ahead and end this stream. It is going to be available on YouTube. I'd like to say that we did cover a lot of material, but it's just period one, not a lot of stuff. Go to Freemanpedia, though. I'm serious. Freemanpedia is amazing, and I certainly wish that I had a site like that. But I feel like if I create a site, it's going to be pretty much copying his, and I don't want to copy. I like to be original and unique. I'll tell you what, I'll stick around for about another 10 more minutes. So if you have any other questions or things to throw, we can do that. But I think that we're mostly done with the main feature. Well, you see, Rocco, I do have things to do, so yeah. Okay, well, he's not going to find that in me, that's for sure. But I guess we could do just a quick little recap of period one. The too long didn't read, yeah. So too long didn't read. Basically, Big Bang happens. Humans are around for 200,000 years. We're foragers. We don't plant our food. We simply follow animals. We simply gather whatever things grow in the wild. At some point within the last 8,000 years, humans decided to start settling down and planting for their food. Okay, that creates social divisions. That creates gender inequality. It creates advanced cities eventually. It creates ownership. It creates wars, famine. It gives us technology. It gives us really everything, all the pleasures of modern society. It gives us religion too. Okay. Eventually, though, these little farming communities turned into advanced civilizations. That brings against social stratification. It brings job specialization. It allows people like me to exist here, teachers. Architecture, systems of writing to keep records, and Hinduism and Judaism were essentially the founding religions. Yeah, I still remember the people from last year, sure. Sure. How many questions on the test? 25 questions, 25 minutes. We're definitely going to mimic the AP exam as best as possible. And I mean, I don't want to also spoil you guys here, or not spoil. I don't want to like hide stuff from you. Okay, that's the course description. Okay, I got some of the questions from there. If you want to look at the questions there, you can scroll down and see the sample questions on there. I'm not using any of those on the exam, but the answers are on there, and those are where the key concepts are at. Okay, so we're going to do multiple choice questions first. And the reason why I'm doing those first is I can start to grade those easily in class. You're going to write down the answers on a separate sheet of paper. It's going to be an answer sheet. I'm going to pick that up after 25 minutes regardless. You're going to stop. And then the rest of the 20 minutes, you're going to work on the short answer question and the primary source analysis. So. I don't know about this delay though. This delay is kind of wonky. I wasn't a big fan of this delay. Remember, if you got any more questions, now's the time to throw them in because I'm looking to end this in a couple of minutes. No, I don't really do Twitch anymore. All right. Well, look, it is getting kind of late, and this is a good time to stop around 8:09 p.m. So thank you guys for showing up. Don't stay up too late, please. I don't want to hear that you guys stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning studying for this. It's not worth it. Yeah, as soon as the bell rings. So like if you like to take your sweet little time to get to class, then it's gonna hurt you because as soon as the bell rings, I'm gonna start the timer. The test should be on the desk already when you come in, and just find one that has it and then turn it around. For the quizzes, no, because the quizzes, they're based on reading. Okay, the quizzes are based on your reading assignments. So if I go over this for quizzes, then it defeats the whole purpose of reading. You know, if I'm going to give you the answers, it defeats the purpose. I want you to read, or at least have to take notes, or at least do it on your own. If it requires you looking at videos instead of reading, that's fine. But no, I think it defeats the whole purpose. I'm testing your ability really to read and comprehend. That's what the quizzes are for. So I go over it in class, but I go over it afterwards. And the sad reality is reading is essential for college. I know. I remember most of my college classes, it was you go to class, you listen to the professor lecture, and then you read. You read and read and read, and that's it. So I know it sucks that I don't go over the stuff before the quizzes, but I am testing your reading comprehension. And remember, those quizzes, they don't kill your average. You know, if you get a bad grade on them, they're not worth enough points to tank your average. So you got to work on your reading. You know, I know that we as a culture, we as a society, we have downplayed that in our younger generation. Massive sin, guys. If you're not a strong reader, you're not going to be successful in AP classes. That's the sad reality. So reading, like any skill, it takes time to build up. If you're not a strong reader now, you're going to have to start building up that skill. I don't expect any of you to start playing the piano today and become a master by the end of the week. It's not going to happen. So if you up to this point have been able to survive high school without doing too much reading, then you're at a disadvantage. Start now. You're not going to get better overnight. It'll be frustrating. There will be many times when you'll hate yourself, but if you start reading now, by the end of the year, you'll be ready. You may not be ready for this exam at the end of the year, but at least you'll be better off for it. Yes, Janet, I will do one of these for every exam before we do it. Well, we do have work days in class. That's when you can read. I know you hate reading, but you have to do it. And the reason why I promote it is because I feel like we have downplayed it. And so reading is absolutely important. Well, I like to read what I enjoy. I always have two books reading at the same time. Like, in fact, I'll even show you. Yeah, hold that thought. Okay, so basically, try to find a book that's intellectual and stimulating, but not like boring. Something that's fun. For example, this book right here, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow, it's interesting. It definitely helps you learn a lot about people. It helps you learn a lot about studying, and it's academic, but it's fun. Same thing with this one too, Blink. Okay, really, really good little book. So try to go to the library and ask Mrs. Delgado for recommendations. She can point you in the direction. So start by reading something that's fun, something that interests you, and then eventually you work your way up to the more complicated stuff. Hey, Stephanie, how's it going? You here to promote your entrepreneurship business? But yeah, read something again that's fascinating. Anyway, I always like to have 2 books at times. Read something that I'm reading something to learn, something to stimulate my mind, and something for entertainment purposes. Always try to have 2 things going at once. Ooh, another book. All right, this is actually what I'm reading right now. A coworker actually lent it to me. And it's a mental floss history of the world. And I just started reading it. And it basically goes over what we talk about in class, but it really simplifies everything really, really well. And it's written in a funny tone. It's not written in a way that's complicated. It's actually entertaining. So it's actually the one that I'm reading right now. And I did, here they are. Okay, this is another book that I'm reading right now called The Silk Roads. Now this is academic. Not that it's boring, it's actually not, but it's very academic and it's not entirely entertaining. Here's another one you might want to read on the side. A little more academic, but still interesting, Guns, Germs, and Steel. This one, Carnage and Culture, pretty good little book too. It's about why the West is supposedly better. King Leopold's Ghost, about how the Europeans messed up Africa and colonized it and exploited the people. Kind of depressing, actually. We'll talk about colonization when we get to that point in period 5. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, I'm always reading. A lot of these books I've already read. Again, I know some of you don't like it, but you got to do it. And unfortunately, for a lot of you, you won't learn this until it's a little too late, or you're in the midst of in college. But it happens. It happens. Okay, I definitely am going to cut this short already. I know it's late. You're going to see the YouTube video. And yeah, look, don't stress out over it, okay? Just know that all of you are very intelligent. I still consider myself very lucky to be your instructor. I consider being your instructor a gift, and I treasure it every day. And I will always wake up, always excited to go work, and it's because of you guys. I really do. Good night. Good luck. Take care, and for old time's sake, Hittites! All right. Bye, everybody. Peace out.